HSBC is one of the largest banks in the world. It's a British bank, and they were caught red-handed. They were dealing with some of the top drug lords in the world. They were basically laundering their money for them, billions of dollars, but not just the drug cartels, but they were also dealing with terrorists. And not just any old terrorist, Al-Qaeda. Now, others as well, Hamas, the Iranian government. I mean, you name it, they did it all. But my God, Al-Qaeda, they launder their money. So obviously there's going to be huge punishment for this, right? I mean, if you had a Muslim American as an example working with Al-Qaeda, he would literally never get out of Guantanamo Bay. So obviously these top bankers at HSBC, they're all in handcuffs now. Congratulations, Justice Department, right? Now you know where this story's going because you've been living in America and you realize that's not how these things work. It's because in our government now, the elites always win. There is never any punishment for them. So they just announced, and they're very proud about it, a $1.9 billion fine. And by the way, none of the executives will be punished. No one will go to jail. No one will go to trial. Of course, they're too big to jail. But that's literal. So let me read it to you. Here is The Guardian explaining the story. U.S. authorities defended their decision not to prosecute HSBC for accepting the tainted money of rogue states and drug lords on Tuesday, insisting that a $1.9 billion fine for a litany of offenses was preferable to the collateral consequences of taking the bank to court. Collateral consequences? What the hell are you talking about? Well, they explain. Had the U.S. authorities decided to press criminal charges, HSBC would almost certainly have lost its banking license in the U.S., the future of the institution would have been under threat, and the entire banking system would have been destabilized. Holy cow, do you understand that? That means they have a license to commit any crime they like within the bank. Because they're saying HSBC is too big to fail and too big to jail. So it doesn't matter what they do. If they launder the money for drug lords and terrorists, we're going to let them get away with it. And by the way, if they do it again, we're going to let them get away with it again. Because if we did anything to them or their executives, it might endanger their license and then endanger the entire banking system. They said they fixed this too big to fail problem, didn't they? What a colossal joke that is. They're above the law, literally. They continue. HSBC, Britain's biggest bank, said it was profoundly sorry for what it called past mistakes that allowed terrorists and narcotics traffickers to move billions around the financial system and circumvent U.S. banking laws. Oh, well, I didn't know they were profoundly sorry. Well, then that ought to do it then. Oh, well, next time you go to court, if you've broken any law, just tell the judge it's okay. Just like the HSBC bankers, I am profoundly sorry for past mistakes. I mean, you're not going to punish me for that, right? I mean, those mistakes are in the past, and I already told you, I'm not just sorry, I'm profoundly sorry. What a joke. And then you might think, hey, $1.9 billion fine. Oh, wow, record, that's huge, isn't it? No, last year alone, they made $21.9 billion in pre-tax profits. It's a month, 4 weeks of their profits. So they make billions upon billions of dollars doing these, and then they give a small amount of it back and then laugh at you in your face. But wait. No, let's be fair. There's a little extra punishment for the executives. The bank's top executives will defer part of their bonuses for the whole of the 5-year period. Ah, well, ladies and gentlemen, we got them. I didn't know they were deferring a part of their bonus. Well, okay, then deal with Al-Qaeda all you like. Yeah, of course, go ahead and make billions from the drug lords. Now, if you were a drug mule and you carried a little bit of money or drugs across the border, do you think that if you said, hey, listen, you know what? I won't take my whole bonus. I'm profoundly sorry. Did they let you go? No, they'd lock you up for a long, long time, right? Well, if you weren't sure, well, you can be sure now because I'm going to tell you the story of a woman who was actually punished about 15 years ago. And it's interesting because the New York Times happened to run a story about it on the same day, so that's why we get this story now. And Glenn Greenwald did a great job of pointing out the juxtaposition. Her name is Stephanie George, and there she is. It turns out that she had a little bit of cocaine stored in her house that her boyfriend was dealing. Well, what happened to her? Well, I'm sure she was profoundly sorry that everything was fine, right? Well, let me quote the New York Times. Even though you have been involved in drugs and drug dealing, your role has basically been as a girlfriend. This is what Judge Vincent said at the sentencing. You've always been basically been as a girlfriend and a bag holder and a money holder, but not actively involved in drug dealing. So certainly in my judgment, it does not warrant a life sentence. Certainly. Guess what she got? A life sentence. They said, sorry, there's a mandatory minimum, so you're going away for life. She had a little bit of cocaine and a little bit of money, HSBC had billions of drug money that they made billions of dollars off of. They're free to go. She had a little bit of money in a drug transaction in her house. Life sentence. Life sentence. She's still in jail 15 years later. They locked her up when she was 27 years old. So the New York Times explains, yet the judge had no other option on that morning 15 years ago as her stunned family watched Miss George, then 27, who had never been accused of a violence, was led from the courtroom to serve a sentence of life without parole. So you understand that? In both cases, they say there was no choice. Well, if you have a tiny amount of drugs or money involved with drugs, you must go away for life. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. But when top banking executives do it, again, we don't have a choice. We had to let them go. Gee, I wonder if we have a two-tier justice system. So show me the bankers. Here are the 4 bankers from HSBC that were testifying in front of Congress, right? Gee, do these guys in suits get a different justice than Stephanie George? She's still in prison. It's a life sentence. A life sentence. This two-tier justice system is sick. It is grotesque. We should be in the streets. They're boiling you alive, slowly by slowly. If you don't have the money, if you're not part of the elite, you're gonna get trampled upon. And they do it to us one person at a time. But if you're part of the elite, you could do anything you want. I mean, all these years, what did they tell us was the most despicable thing in the world? Dealing with Al-Qaeda, right? If you're the wrong kind of person and you deal with Al-Qaeda, not only can they lock you up in Gitmo forever, they could do a drone strike on you and unilaterally execute you. And they've done that over and over again. But if you're a banker, you could be the banker for Al-Qaeda. You can get them the money that they need to do the operations, and there are no consequences. If you think that there isn't 2 different systems of justice in this country for the rich and for the rest of us, you don't know a thing about what's happening in America. If we don't fix this, and we have lost our government, we have lost justice, we have lost democracy. This is a profound sickness, man. We have to fix it. They're crushing us. How much more of this can we stand?